Welcome to Things You May or May Not Believe Abusers Have Said, aka the Can't Be Broken podcast, where we are shining light on the darkness that is domestic violence and abuse. I am your favorite confidence pusher, M Boogie, in this thing. And we have three simple goals. Number one, to educate anyone who has never been in an abusive ship. Number two, to empower all of our survivors who have been in abusive ships. And number three, to encourage anyone who is still currently in an abusive ship. Now, please keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times because it's about to take off and it's probably going to be a bumpy ride. I actually do not have any guests today, but I do have some statistics for your tale. All right. So on one of my posts that I posted a couple of weeks ago, I had someone leave a comment and it came from a woman. Of course, if you don't know, I have a Facebook page and an Instagram page, and you can follow me on IG at Can't Be Broken Podcast. You can follow my TikTok at Can't Be Broken Podcast. And what I do is I create a quick story of what other people have experienced, and sometimes I include my own experiences in these posts. And the posts are entitled Things You May or May Not Believe Abusers Have Said. I list 5 things that are actual real life experiences from actual real life people who experience them. And I read them so that people understand what it's like inside that house, inside that family, inside that car, inside that situationship that people don't realize is taking place. Does that make sense? So, for example, I would say something like, number one, he told her, I'll kill you and chop your body up into pieces so that no one can find you. That's just an example. But that has really been said to somebody before. I don't make up the stories. I don't make up the comments. People actually send me direct messages, or they come to me in private, or they comment on the post and say, this is what I've heard from the person who is abusing me. Now, on one of these videos, there was a lady who will remain nameless. And her comment was, well, remember, women let these men live and shouldn't. I said, okay, that's fair. So before I commented back, I was like, this is a fair statement. Coming from someone who hasn't potentially been in an abusive ship, you don't really comprehend. I feel like I'm yelling at y'all. Let me take it down. I ain't trying to yell. When you haven't been in an abusive ship, you don't really comprehend the complexities of abuse, because more times than not, and I need to pull up a statistic on that, but more times than not, you're going to have you'll have mental and emotional abuse before anything gets physical, if it ever gets physical. And so what happens is the abuser does something like presents themselves as this great catch, this great person, everything that you need. I can protect you. I can provide for you. I can fulfill your needs. I can close the gap between you and whatever happened in your last relationship. They look like, as some people would describe it, a knight in shining armor, or they're so charming. They're so enchanting, like all of the things, because they are pretending to be something that they are not. And because they pretend to be that something that they're not, when you finally start experiencing the abuse, you think that that was a fluke. You think that for some reason, I don't know what triggered this person, but this is not the person that I met. And I know this is not the person that I'm with. I wouldn't choose this person. But what actually happens is they're now showing you who they actually are. And that person that people hold on to, that hope of them getting back to, they're not going to get back to that person because they would never were that person in the first place. Anyways, I say all that to say I used to be that person. I used to be like, I ain't nobody going to put their hands on me and live to tell the story. Ain't nobody going to put their hands on me and I'm going to stay and whoop, 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 and all the neck rolls and all the things, because I never understood what happens. What happens is they mess up your mind. They actually abuse your mind so much that they rewire it and it becomes this weird, twisted cycle. So, to the young lady who said the women, again, and let's address that. Pause. I'm going to get to this, I promise. But can we at some point get to a place where we don't blame the person who was victimized? We actually put the blame on the abuser. Like, nobody, keep the same energy that we have towards people who have been in abusive ships and what we expect. Oh, well, you chose to stay. Oh, well, you did this. Can we talk about what the abuser did? can we hold them accountable for their actions? Anyways, that's not what we're here. We're here to talk about this one particular comment where she says, well, remember, women let these men live and shouldn't. So I did my research. I said, well, let me pull something up. And I found this on domesticshelters.org. Okay. So it's a domestic violence safe site. If you need to exit the site quickly, you can exit the site quickly with the big red button. This article is written in June 22. I'm sorry. This article is written on June 22nd, 2020, 6 years ago now. And the title of it is Women Serve Longer Prison Sentences After Killing Abusers. So for everybody out there that's like, well, why don't you just go ahead and kill them? They abusing you. It's self-defense. Let's dive into that. In 2017, in North Carolina, a man convicted of stabbing his pregnant wife to death, so that's 2 murders, in their bedroom was released from prison after only 7 years. This man committed 2 murders, but because it was an intimate partner, this is how they like to paint it and make it sound not as bad. Because it was an intimate partner situation, he only served 7 years in prison for killing 2 people. Then it goes on to say last May, which would have been 2021, a New Jersey man was sentenced to 15 years for a June 2017 murder of his wife. She died of blunt force trauma and was found floating in the couple's backyard pool. Her online search history showed she was planning on leaving her husband. He served 15 years for murdering his wife. In Nebraska, a man who was found guilty of severing his wife's head, has been allowed to re-enter the community with supervision after spending only 5 years. 5 years, this is bananas, in a psychiatric hospital. So let's pause right there for a minute so we could just break this down. Harpo killed his wife, cut her head off, and they gave him 5 years in a psychiatric hospital, not even prison, a psychiatric hospital. And now he is back in the community. Meanwhile, her whole family has to live without her for the rest of their lives. And he's roaming around here under supervision. Okay, we got that, right? 3 incidences of 3 different men murdering their spouses. The max sentence on this was 15 years for someone who had killed his wife and she was in the pool. Then someone got 7 years for stabbing and killing his wife and their unborn child. And then the other guy cut the whole head off and only got 5 years in a psychiatric hospital. Meanwhile, women like, I'm yelling again. I'm trying to keep my, because it's bananas, but you're going to find out. Meanwhile, women like Marissa Alexander, you can look her up, are sentenced to 20 years. I'm going to let that one marinate in your mental for a minute. 20 years for firing a warning shot into the wall near her abusive husband. You heard me. My sis did not murder anyone. She was in an abusive marriage. She did not aim at her husband. She pointed the gun away from him to fire a warning shot, and she got 20 years in prison. But let's not forget Harpo. Cut the whole head off. He got 5 years without prison sentence, psychiatric. Harpo number 2 killed his wife. She was found floating in their backyard pool. He only got 15 years, dead and gone. Harpo number 1 killed his wife and unborn child and only got 7 years. They both dead and gone. But Marissa fired a warning shot and got 20 years. And this was minutes after he had wrapped his hands around her neck to strangle her. So she had every right to defend herself from someone who was literally in the act of attempted murder, because let's not play no games. Strangulation is what's happening. We're not being choked. You choke on food. When someone takes their hands and wraps them around your neck, they are intentionally trying to cut off circulation and blood flow to your brain. It's called strangulation. It's attempted murder. He attempted to murder her, and she didn't even shoot him. She fired a warning shot to tell him to get back, and they gave my sis 20 years. Fast forward, Crystal Porter, look her up. She was interviewed recently, this was back in 2020 now, for a documentary or an episode, This Is Life with Lisa Ling. And the episode is called Women Who Kill. Okay, this is a series. Crystal served 20 years in prison for shooting her husband. Okay. They both got 20 years. One shot a warning shot, one actually shot her husband. After he had got a gun out and aimed it at her head. Both self-defense. Both of these women got 20 years for self-defense. One of them attempted murder, strangulation. The other, intent to murder. I'm not a lawyer, but if we want to legal terms, I don't know what it would be called, because I'm going to get a gun and point it to your head. Okay, bet. And that was after she had been being abused every week. Right. Okay. According to the statistics compiled by the ACLU, women who kill their partners will spend an average of 15 years behind bars, while men who kill their female partners serve much shorter sentences, on average between 2 to 6. So a man can spend years tormenting, abusing, and hurting his partner. Then he can finally snap and kill her and only get 2 to 6 years on average. But a woman who has endured the abuse for decades or years after years decides to take matters into her own hands, fight back, so to speak, and defend herself, and she gets 20 years even if she don't kill homeboy. Excuse me, even if she don't kill Harpo. It says at least 90%, 90% of women in prison for killing men report having been abused by those men. Do we understand what I just said? So out of 100 women who have killed a man, 90 of those women are in jail because they reported a killing the person that was abusing them. But how many of these men are abusing women and it's documented and known and reported, and they still walking around in these streets? How many men have abused, documented, known, reported, then killed the woman, and they walking around in these streets? Okay. Back to Crystal. After she got married, her husband isolated them in a rural home in California. Porter wasn't allowed to leave, not even to walk down their driveway to the mailbox. She had to retire from her job as a police officer. So let's not get it twisted, because we be acting like police are above the law, or because she's a police officer, she's not going to be in harm's way. Don't forget that Tennessee has done a new law. Let me look this up too, because they lost one of their sheriff deputies to domestic violence. Hang on, I'm coming. Got my laptop down here today, because we doing this work. We doing this work. The new law actually began in January of this year, 2026. It's called a registry for abusers, domestic violence registry. Savannah's Law. That's what it is. Savannah's Law is Tennessee's new domestic violence registry. Let me see if it's got a little details behind why it's called Savannah's Law. Savannah's Law requires the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation to create and maintain a public registry of individuals classified as persistent domestic offenders. It doesn't say what happened or why. Let me see if I can find this for us, though. Savannah's Law. The legislation is named in honor of 22-year-old Robertson County, Tennessee Sheriff's Deputy Savannah Puckett, who was murdered in her home in 2022 by her ex-boyfriend. They weren't even together anymore. And Harpo showed up and killed her. And then Tennessee passed this law, a domestic violence registry. Okay, so back to what we were saying. So after Porter got married, back to Crystal Porter, who was serving 20 years in jail. I'm sorry. Yeah, who was serving 20 years in prison because she shot her husband, who put a gun to her head. After Porter got married, her husband isolated them in a rural home in California. Porter wasn't allowed to leave, not even to walk down to their driveway to the mailbox. She had to stay inside this house. She had to retire from her job as a police officer with the Air Force, and her husband began beating her on a weekly basis. So for years, she endured beatings. Then one day he puts a gun to her head and she said, "Enough is enough. I'm going to shoot you before you kill me." She didn't even kill. It doesn't even say that she killed him. And she got 20 years. But Harpo number one killed 2 people and he only got 7. I'm doing an episode right now. but that's what I'm doing an episode right now. You're interrupt. Okay. I just okay. You don't even gotta act. You don't even gotta act like that. I I'm so y'all. Please, I ain't even. We. I'll be back. I'll be back. What is you doing? Okay, but you down here sounding like doggone Stacy. Like, what is you? What we? I don't understand. Now I can see you down here acting like you Stacy with the stats, but you ain't even telling the truth. Like you was over here, you can't even have nobody doggone recursing on your show. I'm gonna tell you one thing though, I'm a curse on this show, okay? Because that's what I do. Because these people came here to hear the real. They ain't come here to sit here and listen to you read off no laptop talking some 20 years. What you said, it don't even matter. You talking some 20 years. Baby, let me tell y'all something. If you don't know me, my name's Sophie, okay? Let me get my straight. Cause she cute. Okay, anyways, it don't even matter. What my sis trying to say is, cause she trying to be all polite about it. Nah, F that, okay? We ain't got time to be polite because these ain't been polite with us. These ain't been polite with you. You out here trying to live your life like God told you how to live, but they out here thinking they got the audacity to be trying to cover you up, take your light, control you. You tell you what you can and cannot do. Now, what I'm gonna do is show you what it is. Chitty chitty bang bang. That's what it's gonna be. You talking about I'm gonna give me 20 years? Sign me up for my 20 years right now. Because if that's what we doing, that's what we doing. Let me tell you one thing. I would rather have 20 years and then have no life. You got the audacity. What she said, somebody put a gun to his head? No. I mean, her head. So you telling me, let me get it straight. 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 Let me get this straight. What you telling me is, and this don't even just happen. This don't even just happen in these states. This is every single state and different countries. You telling me that can put his hands on me, put a gun to my head, put his hands around my neck, and I don't got the space or the right or the opportunity to defend myself. Why? Because we're intimate partners. Now, however, had that doggone gone out there into the world and put his hands on some random stranger, or put a gun to some random stranger's head, or murder some random stranger, he gonna get life. Or they gonna go for the death penalty. Because ain't that what they do? But because I decided to get into a relationship with someone I didn't know was abusive at the time, but then they became abusive, and I wanted to defend myself, I go to jail. And y'all wonder why them folks don't even be going around here reporting this. Because number one, when you report it and you don't get out, all you do is further piss off the beast. Number two, if you report it and you do get out, guess what? Going to try to start stalking you. Number three, if you don't even get an opportunity to report it because you trying to survive, because his hands are around your neck and he's strangling you, and you got the... Look, I ain't telling you what to do with your life. Okay? I am saying protect yourself. Because God didn't put you on this earth for no come around here with all his insecurities and all his trauma that he too afraid and punk to even go address and face and heal from, to come take your life. I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you own this, you need to hear it. There's too many people in the world posting pictures of headstones because they missing their sons and daughters because someone said that they loved them and took their life. Meanwhile, the people who took their life is out here roaming around in these streets. I be doggone. You try to take my life, somebody gonna lose theirs. It's gonna get lost. You know what I mean? And it ain't gonna get found again. Sign me up for my 20, because at least in 20 years I'll be out. But what you're not gonna do is give me a death sentence because you don't know how to control yourself, because you don't know how to handle your own insecurities, because you too much of a punk to step up and be a man. Miss me with that. You hear me? Now, I ain't come down here to waste y'all time. I just came down here to tell you, because I'm so sick of that girl. I love her. Okay, I do. I love her. And I know you do too. But at some point, somebody need the real. Somebody need to hear what's really going on. And sometimes you got to say it in a way that's going to stick. So I don't know who you is, but if you still out there and you one of them people that's still in an abusive ship, baby, let me tell you something. It is not going to get better. It's going to get worse and worse and worse until you get your out, or he going to take your out. And I ain't apologizing.